The Independent Investor Channel's back, and this will be the last installment of what I've rolled out to be my dividend portfolio for you guys. Man, I really hope you appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun for me in going back over these picks. You know, I've built this account up over many years, and you know, to offer it to you guys as you know, a testimonial, provide you guys visibility of what I've got, it validates the program, man. You know, if you're sitting back and you're wondering, geez, where could I be if I'm, you know, in my 20s? You know, I'm 40, so I'm giving you a snapshot of somebody who's, you know, still working, still doing my deed, you know, still saving aggressively, living below my means, trying to, but you know, along the way, I've never shelved investing. I've always looked at investing as something that you have to do, and I've made mistakes, no doubt about it. But I think the portfolio that I've rolled out to you guys in the last 5 videos has demonstrated what is possible. It's demonstrated, you know, what success really looks like. Not just talked about, but is tangible within the accounts. So I'm going to roll out my final 5 picks to you guys, and man, just do your best to support the message. You know. Offer your stock picks in the comments section as well. I really enjoy you guys re-emphasizing whether or not you own some of these picks and throwing your own picks in there, man. It does nothing but foster the dialogue about stock awareness, and that's really what we're trying to do on the channel, man, is make finances and financial stewardship a topic of discussion. And it needs to be fostered, and it doesn't need to be one of those topics, man, that we shy away from. We need to make it part of the dialogue, and we need to encourage more young folks to become participants in the stock market at more of an early age, man. So let's kick it off. The first company is Chevron. CVX is the ticker symbol. This has been a company that I have owned for in excess of 5 years. It is at a buy right now, a recommended buy, and based on the charts, it's come back off of its highs of flirting with 140. Right now trading at around 118. Half of their business is made overseas. You're looking at a $226 billion market cap in Chevron, trades at 14 times forward earnings. This company has only paid dividends since 1912. It's got roots that go all the way back to 1879. So for you risk-averse folks out there, Chevron is one of those companies that you can invest in, because I can probably say rest assured, at least based on historical precedents, that Chevron's not going anywhere, all right? It's going to pay you a nice fat dividend, 3.8%. Some of their larger projects that they've been sponsoring over the years are going to come to a head here pretty quick. And, you know, it's just one of those companies that you can invest in, sit on the fat dividend for a while. It's got some cost-cutting initiatives that I was able to review in the reports that I've got. Just a company that's really one of those solid, both exposed international and domestic, one of the largest oil companies in the world through Chevron. Got a strong balance sheet. They're really working it. And it's one of those that you can put in the portfolio to work toward what I feel is really important, to working toward a 9 to 10% allocation in energy. So Chevron will get it done for you guys, and that's one of my 25 dividend aristocrats here. The next one, it may strike up some controversy. I know you guys have got to have some financial exposure to the portfolio. Wells Fargo has been one of those that has just paid me immensely. I've owned it through the downturn, honestly, through all the financial scandal, and they were beat up over it, and rightfully so. I read into the account scandal, and it was terrible what they were doing to people. I don't think it's exclusive to Wells Fargo. I think there's a lot of abuse across all the industries. Wells Fargo got caught, and they're still trying to shake off some of those regulatory hurdles that they're going through right now. But rest assured, the current stock price right now at 10 times reduced forward PE is a reduced multiple, honestly, and it's probably reflected in the share price of $51 a share. With a $259 billion market cap. This company is exclusively domestic here in the U.S. Only 2% of revenues are generated overseas. You're talking about a very healthy dividend at 3.3%, starting to rise. It is a buy point right here. The charts speak to a buy point here. I feel comfortable recommending it to you guys at whatever share allocation you guys are looking to get in the financial sector. You can pick up some shares of Wells Fargo. It is what I consider a premier bank in the top 5 of the banking industry, and it's not necessarily the individual accounts that's the big thing. It's a lot of their corporate holdings, you know, what they represent for their loan business. Very intriguing, and the interesting part about it is when they do shake off this regulatory piece or struggles or hurdles that they're going through now, the amazing is going to be the long-term projection in Wells Fargo. Traded under the ticker symbol WFC. Just a wonderful financial company that you could add into the portfolio. And again, I know it's somewhat of a, you know, it's one of those stocks that can be a little bit, I can take some abuse for it. You know, there's other financials out there that aren't going through regulatory problems, but certainly Wells Fargo can be one of those companies that we put into the portfolio or the self-directed Roth IRA account to pay you over time and hold for the long term. The next company is Merck, and it's up there with my top 3 in healthcare. Merck rounds out that top 3. The company has emerged as a leader in immuno-oncology. It's 50-50 domestic sales as well as your international sales. So really a diverse company. If you looked at the charts, it's actually really not very attractive, to be honest with you. I don't know if you're getting the best entry point on Merck. I don't know if healthcare were to take a little bit of a strike against it, Merck would suffer for it. And looking at the charts, it's run up quite healthily. But it's a very good company, 2.7% dividend. The company's paid the dividend since 1935, 15.3 on the forward PE multiple. So it has increased a little bit when compared to the peers along that healthcare sector. So, you know, you want to be a little bit careful. I think for long-term investors, you'll be just fine. Some of the key drugs that they have come out with, honestly, you can read about the Keytruda. You can read about some of those. I don't want to get too in depth. But traded under the ticker symbol MRK, Merck is one of those cornerstones and top 3 in the healthcare sector. You want to work toward 15% of exposure in the portfolio, so you're going to have to fill that exposure in some form or fashion. I own all 3 of my top 3 healthcare picks, and I encourage you guys to look at Merck as one of those top tier offerings in the portfolio. The next one you guys are going to recommend as well, Mondelez, spun off of Kraft Foods back in 2011. I should have just held the shares, honestly. I was given free shares of the company when it spun off. I know one of the members was asking me what happens during a spin-off, and it's one of the coolest things that can happen. You get free shares. Should have done the same thing with Phillips 66 when they spun off of ConocoPhillips some many years ago, but didn't do that. I sold that after I was up 100% in the stock. But Mondelez, you know, it's one of those companies you're actually getting a fantastic entry into the stock right here with really 42, what I consider a base. It's actually dipped below that, closer to 40 now. You're getting a great entry point on the stock. 2.4% dividend on Mondelez. You're getting exposure overseas. 81% of the revenues comes from overseas sale in a lot of the products that you guys are gonna recognize. You know, Trident, Nabisco. You've got Toblerone chocolate. So some of these, you know, really good. The chocolate, the gum, the candy, the stuff that's really, really healthy for you. Stuff that people have to have. Honestly, kind of the staples in everybody's life. You know. But Mondelez, traded under the ticker symbol MDLZ, is one of those companies at $40 a share. Really can be a nice addition to your portfolio in the consumer staples sector, and we're looking at around 8% now. It's come down a little bit with the formation of the communication services sector, so you want to add some consumer staples to your portfolio. Mondelez can get it done for you. And last but not least, man, I will save the best for last. This is my favorite stock out of the 25 that I've offered for you guys. You notice that Apple Computers was not in my list of dividend aristocrats. This 25 stock portfolio that I have as a pillar in my portfolio, man. I'm a participant in each one of these companies. And there's one that I am really proud to own, and I've owned it for years, and that is Johnson & Johnson. It is the best in the industry as far as I'm concerned. Johnson & Johnson is a buy right now. It's come off of its recent highs. So when you want to talk from a stock perspective, the stock is a buy right here. You can jump into Johnson & Johnson right here, own it for the long term. Johnson & Johnson pays a dividend of 2.7%. It's got a forward earnings at 15.6 times forward earnings. You're talking about a monster company. $360 billion for Johnson & Johnson, man. You're talking brands that everybody recognized. Band-Aid, Tylenol, Johnson's Baby, Neutrogena, and there's many others. They diversify across a number of different healthcare subsector businesses, and they've got their feelers in everything, about 50-50. If their sales come domestic, 50% come international, guys, man. Johnson & Johnson really is one of those companies that it fits into my top 5 companies that you can buy and own forever. And I'm not really sure if I understand why across the YouTube landscape that a lot of these good blue chip dividend companies, man, that have made folks wealthy throughout the history of the company. I think Johnson & Johnson has roots back in 1887 when it was incorporated, and Johnson & Johnson's paid their dividend for over 100 years. Guys, that is precedence that I do not want to go against, nor will I advocate for ever on the Independent Investor Channel. Trades under the ticker symbol of JNJ, man. Pick up some Johnson & Johnson for your portfolio. It'll help you, and we can start to accumulate wealth together by being a participant in this fine company. Guys, I want to thank you guys really for joining in for this portfolio rollout. I did it over the course of 5 videos, and I really hope you enjoyed that idea of rolling it up and splitting it up a little bit for you guys. I own every one of these stocks, all right? And I just present them to you guys really to see what's possible, man. Give you a benchmark to shoot for. I don't mind you guys using my program as a benchmark because I'm very aware that people may hear my message and look to deploy my message and look to go out and buy fine companies like a McDonald's or a Johnson & Johnson or a Pfizer, right? And I give you the full green light to go do that, man. You have my full stamp of approval to take my advice and start to become a participant in these companies. Remembering the niche of the Independent Investor Channel is to house these assets in the correct bucket, right? You're not winning the battle unless you really hear my message about the importance of housing these good quality assets in the self-directed Roth IRA account that I recommend on every video that I come out with. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, man. If you haven't subscribed to the Independent Investor Channel, I would ask for your subscription and supporting the message that we're coming out with, trying to empower individual investors really to see the potential of direct connecting yourself with the stock market, eliminating the middleman, and realizing all the profit for you, man. You're the one taking the risk. You're the one that should enjoy all the profits in your portfolio. If you know anybody out there that can benefit from the message that we're putting across the channel, you want to share the message with those guys, man. We're really building a nice referral process on the Independent Investor Channel, and I just thank you each and every time you come to the channel and say, man, Ryan really breaks it down. He's talking from the heart. He really does this stuff for a living, that you feel comfortable offering that referral for me and on behalf of the Independent Investor Channel, man. That is really the root of the success of where the channel will end up going into the future. Guys, leave your comments at the bottom of the video. And I just want to say thank you again for tuning in to this chronicle of my 25 dividend payers in my portfolio. Guys, good luck in your investment future.